21 Pilots. A band I've wanted to make a video on for so long. And I did, like, 5 times. And for whatever reason, most of the videos I began working on I ended up finishing and posting, not including videos about 21 Pilots. In fact, my first video on this channel was supposed to be a video on a 21 Pilots iceberg chart I made, which I finished entirely. But I used the desktop version of CapCut because I was dumb, which only lets you export videos under 15 minutes. And then I tried splitting it into multiple videos and then compiling them. Is my tongue bleeding? And I tried splitting it into multiple videos and then compiling them together using a better editing software. But then within the process, I accidentally deleted it and then I just gave up. Alright, going off script a little bit here. Sorry if this sucks. I don't know why I didn't mention this in the first place, but so a TikTok was posted by @blurry_vessel showcasing the iceberg that I had made because I had posted it to Reddit, and I guess when you Google 21 Pilots iceberg, it's one of the first results. But still, it was crazy, and the TikTok got like almost 100,000 views, and they didn't credit me until I requested that credit. After getting it on my For You page, which was actually crazy. That was one of the most, like, jaw-dropping moments of my life. Like, oh my god, that's my iceberg from a year ago! And then, yeah, that was cool. I'm glad they eventually gave credit. So, yeah. Then I made that Brand New video.
Brand New was such a good band.
No! And some other dumb videos I don't care about. Then recently I tried remaking that iceberg video because I thought they were going into another hiatus with the whole eye closing thing and stuff. And then one day I woke up to... whoa. Our new full-length album, Breach, will be here in September. The first song, The Contract, comes out June 12th. Hello, Clancy. Hello, Blurryface. Let's finish this. Holy shit. Just completely out of the blue, when we were expecting another hiatus exactly like the one from 2017, they announced a new album. Which, to be fair, what the hell else did Clancy Ultimate Chapter 25 mean otherwise? But still, it surprised everyone. So, now I'm starting a 7-part video series on reviewing every 21 Pilots album before Breach comes out on September 12th. First, this video, reviewing their self-titled debut album, then Vessel, then Blurryface, then Trench, then Scaled and Icy, then Clancy, and then, once it's released, Breach. Also, I will be skipping Regional at Best as I don't consider it to be a proper 21 Pilots album, and even their self-titled album we're talking about today barely makes the cut for me. Even Tyler Joseph himself has referred to Regional at Best as a glorified mixtape of demos, which I personally find to be an accurate description. It also does contain tracks which were finished and re-released to Vessel, which if I were to review Regional at Best, I can't just ignore those songs, so going over them twice would be awkward. Now, all that aside, we can finally get into the video. In 2009, Chris Saleh, after meeting Tyler Joseph at a party, consulted Tyler about starting a band after being impressed by his songwriting talent and creativity. After Tyler saw the home studio Chris had built, agreed. Tyler invited his longtime friend Nick Thomas to the band as a bassist. And so, with Tyler on lead vocals and piano, Chris on drums, and Nick on bass, 21 Pilots was formed. The name was chosen in reference to the play All My Sons by Arthur Miller. In the play, the main character purposely sends out faulty aircraft parts to the Air Force out of his own greed during World War II, eventually causing the death of 21 Air Force pilots. Also, here's a fun fan theory. Look at this book. This collection of plays includes All My Sons. Now pay attention to the cover. Does it remind you of anything? Yeah. There's a very good chance Tyler read this in school, and most likely based the Vessel Era logo and the whole tape thing off of it. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, later that year, on December 29th, 2009, 21 Pilots released their self-titled debut album. This is a really strong debut, being filled with piano-heavy songs, primarily tackling subjects like mental health and religious struggles. You get to take a good look at Tyler Joseph's psyche through his lyrics. This entire album really shows that Tyler Joseph was a bit of a theater kid, and for a lot of music, that can be a bad thing when you can hear that, almost. But for 21 Pilots, there's always a certain specific charm to it that I really enjoy. I really appreciate this album a lot, and some of the songs mean a lot to me, personally. Especially one of them. Implicit Demand for Proof is the opening track of this album. It has a long intro starting with a calm piano, eventually leading into a much more intense piano. Both verses feature Tyler speaking to God and implicitly demanding for proof of his existence. And for whatever reason, I always pictured people fencing in my head during each verse. I have no idea why I did that. Another thing I've noticed, I've gotten really into Radiohead recently, and the fourth verse in Paranoid Android by Radiohead is a lot like the chorus of this song. In Paranoid Android, the lyrics are, rain down, come on, rain down on me from a great height. And in this song, Implicit Demand for Proof, the lyrics are just rain down and destroy me, repeated multiple times. Pretty similar. And fun fact, you may not have even been aware of this, the lyric is rain down spelt R-E-I-G-N, not R-A-I-N. Overall, I enjoy this song. However, it's pretty middle of the road for this album. Definitely better ones and definitely worse ones. Fall Away is a really interesting track. It's a very fast-paced song with instrumentals that really express a sort of dread and suffrage. Tyler seems to be struggling with fighting to keep his faith intact. Throughout both the rap verses, he expresses that struggle heavily, but every time it reaches the chorus, he showcases that desire to fight it. That desire to fight that fall from his faith in God and his own happiness. This song is just so raw and emotional and has some of the best production on this album. One of the best tracks by far. The Pantaloon is a song that tells a story about growing older and succumbing to diseases like dementia, which is represented by becoming a pantaloon. The term pantaloon comes from a monologue in Shakespeare's play As You Like It. During the monologue, Shakespeare describes a thin old man as the lean and slippered pantaloon. The lyricism of this song is really good, and I think it conveys the theme in a very interesting and enjoyable way. The production of this song is a little wonky, but that wonkiness does have a sort of charm to it that does really fit the song. I appreciate this song a lot. Addict With A Pen tells a story of Tyler speaking to God after a long time lack of his presence, using water as a metaphor for God, and a desert as a metaphor for his own life and surroundings. There's only one verse in this song, and it's a really well-written and emotional piece, some of the best writing from Tyler ever. This one is a fan favorite, and for good reason. It's a really beautiful and meaningful song, like most of the songs on this album. Also, something I just noticed, on the Genius annotation for the song, you is capitalized, because whenever Tyler says you, he is speaking to God. Anyway, fantastic piece from the band. Friend Please is a song speaking to either a friend of Tyler's, the listener, or maybe even himself, telling them to no longer consider committing suicide. It's a really pretty song with some of the better vocals from Tyler on this album, a really great melody, and some really cool synths featured heavily throughout the song. It's a good one. I don't have that much to say about it, however. Also, I'm so sorry I made that the background for that section. I just couldn't not. March to the Sea is a song that can be interpreted in lots of different ways, but most interpretations share one common theme. A calling to break free from whatever group or lifestyle you're in, or really anything for that matter. Through this song, it's represented by an extensive line of people on a march to their ocean graves on a beach, repeating that their line's the only way, and a spaceship in the sky paired with a voice inside your head saying, "Follow me instead." However you interpret it, it's a really great message portrayed very well. There are some really pretty choir-esque vocals from Tyler in the instrumental, which I really enjoy too. Overall, I really enjoyed this song and the concept really sticks out to me. Johnny Boy is a song that encourages the listener to get back on their feet when the world has left you lying on the ground. The chorus repeats, "Get up, Johnny Boy," like the name John, a very common name used in this song to apply to the average person. Also, the same name as the lead singer of the band, John 21 Pilot. I do enjoy the messaging of the song, however, the vocals are a little grating and unpleasant. A lot of the vocals in this album do kind of sound a little nasally, and this song just does it a little too much, which leads me to have a little bit of mixed feelings on this song. Overall, on the lower end of this album for me. The meaning and messaging is just alright in comparison to some other tracks. The vocals are a little irritating, and the production isn't anything special. This is a very sweet little song with lyrics and instrumentation using lots of winter imagery. I could go further into this track, but to be honest, do I want to? Not really. It's a decent song, that's all there is for me to really say about it. Throughout Air Catcher, Tyler refers to a metaphorical parachute as an air catcher, which is an emotional tool he uses to avoid heartbreak. People he falls in love with steal that air catcher along with his want to continue using it. This is a really great song from this album, some of the better production and vocals, which a couple tracks on here tend to fall short of, except for the bridge. 21 Pilots will often use autotune in a very blatant and intentional way to convey a specific sound, but here, it's not done very well, unlike just about every other time it's used in their entire discography. The regional best version of Trees doesn't exist. It's really heavy and doesn't clearly convey any type of goal aiming for a particular sound. Compare it to a song like their most recent single, The Contract, which uses autotune in a very effective way. In that song, the autotune appears in the very melodically unique chorus, which corresponds very well to the high-pitched and futuristic sounding synths layered throughout the song. It ends up sounding really good. In this track, it just sounds a little too heavy and grating. It doesn't complement any other aspect of the song. But otherwise, there is nothing wrong with this song and it still remains one of the better tracks. Trapdoor is a great track from this album. It tells the story of a lonely man going through an extreme bout of depression, and using falling through a trapdoor whilst being executed by hanging to express how extreme that depressive bout is. The song is really intense and theatrical in a really great way. One of the best vocal performances from Tyler on this album, and one of the best tracks. A Car, a Torch of Death tells a story from the perspective of Jesus shortly before his arrest and crucifixion, and Tyler's own realization why Jesus Christ died for our sins. I don't want to dive too deeply into the lyrics of this song, because I think behind the curtain they may be a little too overtly Christian, to a point that I don't want to get too deep into the story itself. However, to Tyler's credit, on the surface level, it is not obviously Christian, which I always appreciate, personally. If you want to learn more about the story this song tells, I would just suggest looking at the Genius annotation for this track, as that should give you further insight. Something really interesting about this song are the parallels to the Dima lore, despite this song releasing 9 years before that story even came into fruition, which further adds to the evidence that Tyler has had lots of bits and pieces of the story planned out since day one. And that whole thing is just a story for a trencher day. Anyway, this song is absolutely beautiful and phenomenal. The production is so beautiful and interesting, the story it tells is beautiful and interesting, everything about this song is beautiful and interesting. It's phenomenal, and one of my favorite tracks on this album. While the lyrics of this song don't necessarily convey it, Taxi Cab, to me, has always been a song that reminds me of my own grief. The piano is fantastic. The tone hits a spot where it doesn't feel sad nor happy. It's almost upbeat yet melancholy. It feels like you're grieving someone or something but not actively thinking about it, and as it moves into the chorus you're reminded of that grief. The first two verses are like that emptiness that comes along with it, and the chorus feels like those really hard moments where it sticks in your head and crushes you. That's just how it feels for me, though, based on my own experience with this song. It really means a lot to me. And that rap verse, oh my god, that rap verse. Honestly, I want to read through it before sharing my thoughts. So the hearse ran out of gas. The passenger person grabbed a map, and the driver inside it contrived a new route to save the past. Checked his watch and grabbed a cab, a beautifully plain taxi cab. A cab had a cleared out back, and two men started to unpack. Driving once again, but now this time there were three men. And then I heard one of them say, I know the night will turn to gray. I know the stars will start to fade when all the darkness fades away. We had to steal him from his fate so he could see another day. Then I cracked open my box. Someone must have picked the lock. A little light revealed the spot where my fingernails had fought. Then I pushed it open more, pushing up against the door. Then I sat up off the floor and found the breath I was searching for. Then there were three men up front. All I saw were backs of heads, and then I asked, am I alive and well, or am I dreaming dead? Then one turned around to say, we're driving toward the morning sun, where all your blood is washed away, and all you did will be undone. This is, quite possibly, the best verse in 21 Pilots history. It dives much further into the story the song had already been telling. Previously, Tyler had spoken about feeling incomplete and wanting to die, and eliminating many of the fears that come along with that with the comfort that he will go to heaven and rest with God. In the song's narrative, between the second chorus and the third verse, Tyler attempts suicide. Now we reach this verse, the third verse. The hearse runs out of gas and Tyler is saved by God, and the driver and passenger grab a map and contrive a new route to save the past. They take a cab, a beautifully plain taxi cab, and they put the body in the back seat. They begin to drive, and now there are three men, the Holy Trinity. And one of them says, well, you heard it earlier. God is saying he knows that as the darkness and depression lifts, it won't immediately be light. They had to steal him from his fate so he can see another day. Then he opened the box he was in and sat up. He asks whether he is alive and well or if he's dreaming dead. Then one turned around to say that the taxi cab was driving towards heaven and Tyler was not saved and brought back to life on Earth. He is ascended. Tyler's writing is just phenomenal. It's, extremely obvious how this verse ties to Christianity. And just a quick comment here, which I've already mentioned a little, but I haven't gotten too deep into. The way Tyler writes about Christianity is so tasteful. The way he writes about it ends up being appealing to people of any religious background. Personally, I won't get too into it, but I fall under a slightly agnostic perspective where I believe there is a God, but I wouldn't say I specifically align to any existing religion. And the way Tyler writes about it really appeals to me. It feels a lot more nuanced and sincere in comparison to something like, I don't know, Christian rock. This is the best song on the album by a pretty big margin. Top 5 21 Pilots songs ever, to be completely honest. Some of the best writing from Tyler Joseph ever. To be completely honest, this is my least favorite song on this album, and one of my least favorite 21 Pilots songs ever. Some people really enjoy it, but I personally don't really understand the appeal. I don't really want to dive into the song, so unfortunately for fans of Before You Start Your Day, this is all you're getting. Isle of Flightless Birds has got to be the weirdest sounding song they've ever released. And it's so good. It's filled with these really strange synths, and while being kind of odd, they're really good and almost kind of pretty in a way. The song is about how a lot of people within our society waste their potential in life, best shown through my favorite part of the song, the second verse. Also, real quick, Genius refers to this section of the song as the pre-chorus, despite the fact it's not repeated before the second chorus. Overall, it's not written like a pre-chorus, and just feels a lot more like the first verse when listening to the song. The only reason I can think of describing it as a pre-chorus is its quick transition into the chorus, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is one, which pisses me off. So when I say second verse, I'm referring to what Genius calls the first verse. Anyway, back on track, the second verse. All we are is an isle of flightless birds. We find our worth in giving birth and stuff. We're lining our homes against winding roads, and we think the going is tough. We pick songs to sing, remind us of things that nobody cares about, and honestly, we're probably more suicidal than ever now. If you decide to live by what you think's wrong and what's right, believe me, you'll begin to wish you were sleeping. Your weeping will creep in your head and you'll cry. But if we wake up every morning and decide what we believe, we can take apart our very heart and the light will set us free. Tyler uses the idea of an isle of flightless birds to describe that wasted potential many people face, and how it keeps us depressed and disinterested with our lives. And how if we avoid wasting our potential and actually chase our own dreams, we as a society will become healthier, happier, and closer to God. Here's something interesting I've noticed. He uses the word stuff, which is just really unconventional, but I actually think it's a good usage of that word in writing. He says giving birth and stuff to infer how there are a lot more things to life than reproduction and providing to the system. Saying and stuff to express a disinterest towards the idea that things along those lines are all there is to life. This is one of the best songs on the album, overall being a very emotional and well-written piece from them, and a great closer to their self-titled album. Real quick, before I conclude this video, here is my ranking of every single track from this album. I will also share their current position on my full 21 Pilots song ranking. I'm not going to share my opinions as I go through them because I already did that. Also, I'm going to be doing Fantano type ratings because it's funny. On the bottom, number 14, Before You Start Your Day, and number 91 on my overall ranking. I rated a light 6. Number 13 is Johnny Boy, also number 89 on my overall ranking. I rated a light to decent 7. Number 12 is Oh Misbeliever, also number 88 on my overall ranking. I rated a decent 7. Number 11 is Implicit Demand for Proof, also number 79 on my overall ranking. I rated a decent 8. Number 10 is Friend Please, also number 59 on my overall ranking. I rated a light to decent 9. Number 9 is March to the Sea, also number 47 on my overall ranking. I rated a light to decent 9. Number 8 is Aircatcher, also number 46 on my overall ranking. I rated a decent 9. Number 7 is the Pantaloon, also number 40 on my overall ranking. I rated a decent 9. Number 6 is Addict With A Pen, also number 38 on my overall ranking. I rated a decent 9. Number 5 is Trapdoor, also number 30 on my overall ranking. I rated a high to decent 9. Number 4 is Fall Away, also number 24 on my overall ranking. I rated a high 9 to a 10. Number 3 is A Car Tortured to Death, also number 21 on my overall ranking. I rated a 10. Number 2 is Isle of Flightless Birds, also number 19 on my overall ranking. I rated a 10. And my number 1 is Taxi Cab, which is also number 4 on my overall ranking. And I obviously rated a 10. This is a really strong and meaningful record. Tyler Joseph is my favorite artist of any variant ever. He's a phenomenal musician and most of his work is fantastic, and this album is a really good start for this band. It's structured well, produced surprisingly well, even Regional at best sounds worse. It's written well, and all of the songs are good individually, except Before You Start Your Day. The emotional sort of theatrics of this album could be seen as a little cringe, which pretty much everything from 21 Pilots up until Trench could be seen as, but like I said earlier, there's a beautiful charm to that, near cringe level that will never get old for me. Also, I just want to mention, in case you haven't noticed, I have almost entirely spoken about Tyler this whole video, and neither of the other two members, which is for 2 reasons. 1, if you somehow aren't aware, Chris Saleh and Nick Thomas would leave the band after this album, and Josh Dunn would become the drummer, and 21 Pilots, as we now know them today, is a 2-piece band. 2, Tyler Joseph is the sole writer of every single lyric from this album, and I'm not even sure how much the other 2 members contributed to the composition. Anyhow, Tyler Joseph's creative mind speaks to me like no one else, and I appreciate all of his work so much. I love 21 Pilots, and this is a fantastic debut.